I'm 55, a GP from Cardiff. So I'm suffering with what is known as chronic migraine with aura, and this is a very severe form of migraine. So I started my journey, if you like, with migraine when I was 13. I then went on to have the occasional migraine, but with all the associated symptoms, maybe 2 or 3 times a year for probably 10 years, but they were very easily managed. And then I went on to my medical career as a GP, and I think for about 10, 15 years, I didn't really have any at all. Then in my mid-40s, they started to come back more frequently. This culminated essentially in when I was 48. I was at work seeing a patient and I was unable to get the words out. I then couldn't see the screen, and then my left side became quite numb and I couldn't really think straight. I basically then entered this 4-month phase of persistent migraine called status migrainosus. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody around me, both medically or family, had ever seen anything like it, so I couldn't understand what was happening to me. On top of the sort of migraine symptoms that I recognised, what I didn't recognise was all the other symptoms. They're endless, really. I basically walked around like a zombie for 4 months. On top of the left-sided weakness, memory loss, and overwhelming fatigue. I also felt like you had a bucket of treacle on your head. You had brain fog. You couldn't think properly. And I tried to explain to people how I felt, and I just felt no one was listening. I think one of the worst things is, for me, and I'm sure for everybody else, is when you feel that what you're saying is falling on deaf ears, that you're not actually being heard. Migraine sufferers see on average 6 clinicians, that includes GPs, neurologists, before they see someone who accurately diagnoses them. I had a really good GP, but that GP wasn't an expert in chronic migraine. I had great neurologists, but they're not experts in chronic migraines. People might argue and say, well, there are headache clinics. There are, but they're inadequate, they're infrequent, and there are no migraine experts. I quickly saw that I wasn't going to get the help that I needed, and months were going by and I wasn't improving. And through really my own endeavours, I ended up seeing a world expert in London. Once I saw the right person, the light went on and they looked at me as if, well, obviously this is what you've got and it's horrendous, and you suddenly felt better just for being heard. Chronic migraine with aura is essentially an organic brain disease. So once you understand what you're dealing with, it makes more sense. There are 1 billion migraine sufferers in the world. There are 10 million in the UK. And of that 10 million, 3% progress to chronic migraine. And I suppose what concerns me is being able to shine a light on this. So I am now on a quest, not only for myself, but for others who are suffering like I am. We need a platform. There are charities and organisations for all other neurological disorders. But in fact, chronic migraine is not even on the list. It's not even represented by anything or anybody. So until you have a voice, you can't start to get people to understand what this is about. Recently at this patient advocate meeting in Dublin, there were 50 different patient groups from all over the world, and every single person in the room had chronic migraine. So we can't all be wrong. And it's just how to get that message across to the clinicians, the educators, the GPs, and the neurologists. The amount of suffering is just off the scale, and things have got to change. This is a horrendous organic brain disease, and it needs to be taken really seriously. We just need proper experts, proper clinics, and for people to believe that this condition is real.